brought up November of last year was, hey, we were hearing murmurings that the Lodge of the Four Seasons, right, an iconic property, the Brown family started, that it had sold, right? We had reached out to the Lodge of Four Seasons. We couldn't get an answer. We couldn't get confirmation. And that was in November. Well, Lake Expo reported the Lodge of the Four Seasons has sold.
Yeah. And this is a big deal, right? So everybody knows about the Lodge of the Four Seasons, right? It's been sold to an out-of-state company. So the deed has been transferred to, it's one of those names. So here you go. It's PRP Ozark V LLC and Bank of California are the new owners, according to the Camden County Recorder. This PRP Ozark V LCC was formed just in 2024, probably to buy this. Company's principal office is in Scottsdale, Arizona. All right, so Bank of California is involved. Their company's principal office is in Arizona, but then it is CT Corporation System, a business registration corporation with the offices all over the country. So we're talking, it sounds like it's a huge, massive conglomerate kind of a thing that has bought this. Lake Expo tried to talk with the staff at the lodge, and nobody basically was talking. What they said was, ownership group is not interested in making any public statements at this time.
Sure.
Which is fascinating.
Well, they may,
they're not talking.
And you never know when you talk about this magnitude and what they may have planned and what they may want to do. It may be a very strategic and intentional announcement. Also, it did mention that it was sold by Avila Development LLC, which is registered to Peter Brown. And as you alluded to, the history on Lodge of the Four Seasons, Harold Koppler founded Lodge of the Four Seasons on 3,500 acres in 1964. Later passed on to daughter Susan Brown and her husband Peter. Peter, of course, is the one who has Avila Development LLC. If you'll remember, back in 2016, the property underwent a major $15 million renovation and facelift upgrade. And so a big congrats to the Brown family, and of course the late great Harold Koppler, and what they accomplished. They're pioneers in tourism and hospitality, lodging, vacationing here at Lake of the Ozarks and beyond. And this is big because the people they sold it to obviously have their own plans, but we can confirm the Lodge of the Four Seasons has sold, so good work by Lake Expo. We had been asking that question, and people had mentioned that, right? That they heard the lodge sold, we should try to find out. We had in here months later, Lake Expo drops the bombshell, hey, it's sold.
Yeah, and with a big conglomerate corporation like this who bought that, they probably have very deep pockets to go in and update the Four Seasons, to get it modernized. I mean, it was built originally in 1964. They did put $15 million into it in 2016, but a lot of that complex out there is old. And it looks old and it feels old, and you kind of wonder, how they're going to go about updating that, if they can. And there are several places like that around the lake. The old Tantera, to me, kind of always struck me that way. They've got some new buildings, which is great, but the old buildings are old, and what do you do? How do you renovate those? It's not going to be cheap, not going to be easy. And the same thing with the Four Seasons. It'll be interesting to see what they do out there.
Yeah, but you can't duplicate that piece of land and that much acreage.
That's
there
true.
with right there on the water, with everything down HH that's going on in close proximity to everything in Camden and Miller County. I mean, that property really is iconic, and this is a big deal that it has transferred. So I think it's really cool. Congratulations again to the Brown family and the late great Harold Koppler. Really cool. Those were some of the original pioneers in that down here at Lake of the Ozarks.